Hello and welcome back to the shop. Here before your eyes is my new WPL C44 RTR. These have been quite popular recently, and I really like the fact that they've listened, watched the videos, seen what people are doing at home, and done pretty much everything that I would have done if I'd bought one a year ago. Though mine is a genuine purchase and came in the original WPL box, I was puzzled to see that it came half assembled. Everything was in the box lying loose except one of the two rear windows for the cab. It looks as though WPL are telling me that I should get creative and not use the truck cab. And who am I to refuse them? While I was at it, I removed that wooden rear bed as well. Why did I do that? Well, I have here, left over from another project, this MN82 1/12 scale Toyota bed. It's from an LC79, but I shall have to shorten it to get the wheel arches to line up. After a quick appointment with a Sharpie and a cordless angle grinder, it looks more like this. Let's see whether I shortened it enough. I still have to allow for the thickness of a piece across the front, of course. While fiddling, trying to get the rear body level, I realised that my 3D printed axle stands are genuinely functional and adjustable. That's too high, isn't it? I'll tell you what's holding it so high. It's these shock absorber mounts. I have a choice between penetrating my load bed or having it sitting that high. I could cut these off and then fit shorter shock absorbers so I could mount them lower down, but that would of course cost me performance. I'm not really willing to do that. Whatever I decide to do about the height, and I am leaning towards shorter shock absorbers at the moment, I'm still going to need a front bit for my back body. And styrene gets expensive, especially when you buy the thicker stuff. So this is what remains of the lid of a broken electrical junction box that I found somewhere and brought home. It's really nice and thick, and it has a lip. There we go. I found some rear shocks from an MN82, and they were exactly the right length, but sadly I couldn't get them to fit, as this eye is far too small to fit over the heim joint on the WPL. So what I've done is to cut these little holes to allow the top of the existing WPL shocks to protrude through the bed, and that lets us push the bed all the way down onto the chassis. In order to mount the rear body, I've screwed a couple of bits of wood to the frame rails, and here you see that I've flooded the rear cross member with epoxy and wood. Here's some unfortunate news. I took this thing off in order to drill out the hole behind it and put mesh in there, which I did. I dremeled it out beautifully, and now I cannot find it. I've looked everywhere, and that means I've lost not only the reflectors but also the LEDs and the lenses. So it looks as though I won't have working lights, but as regular viewers of this channel know, I don't see that as much of a problem because I never drive my RCs at night. I've given these parts a brown acrylic wash. The tops of the doors are going to have to go. They're not removable, so it's a Dremel job. And I've done a similar dark wash on the wheels. Given that I managed to lose the original headlamp lenses, I had to make some more. Here's my genuine real mesh, and here are the new headlamp reflectors, which are made from 12-gram CO2 canisters. I've already mentioned that this truck arrived partly disassembled and with one window missing. However, I feel I should point out that it also has a bent front shock. The shaft slightly bent, and it came like that. I'll remove that shock absorber, dismantle it and straighten the shaft off camera. Here's the interior with the driver. He's tied in with a piece of thick thread used to sew leather. Because it's black, you can barely see it going round his waist. I've just assembled it for the first time. I haven't yet seen a WPL C44 RTR on YouTube that looks more different from the way they come out of the box. It still needs a couple of details. It doesn't have a spare tyre yet, and also I think it should have a jerry can of fuel. But it's nice to get a glimpse of what we've built. Here's the wheel I'm going to use as a spare, It's an old rock hard one from a WPL 1/16 scale truck. And I think I'm going to put it there. And I have a 1/12 scale jerry can 3D printed for me by my friend Dave, which I'm going to paint to match the truck. You just saw me fit the driver figure. One thing I did have to do was take him out again and cut away the seat base so he sits a bit lower. But now that he is sitting at the correct height and we have our spare wheel and our jerry can installed, it's finished. And that means we can go and play. Well, that was fun. You can tell we had fun out there because both turn signals have vanished. I had to wait a while before I could record a run vid due to rain, so I spent that time making a little cardboard insert that clips into the back and contains all the stuff you see. That way, when it rolls, none of the stuff falls out. This vehicle is pretty competent off-road. It could do things that the MN40 couldn't do. Well, I hope you like the truck. Thanks very much for watching.